11:52 of the Sleeper and the Bust. It is Monday, March 6th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this afternoon by Mr. Justin Mason. Justin, good day, sir.
Good day. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Nice weather. Baseball's on. It's all good. Shard a
Yeah.
little under the weather, but other than that, we're getting that looked at. But everything else going all right. How about yourself?
I am in the middle of draft mania. I just finished my TGFBI draft, and
What?
Yeah, we're done.
Shut up, dude.
What round are you in?
We just hit the 20th.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not as bad as
we picked up some pace. We picked up the pace over the weekend, and no one really. I'm not here to dog anybody out. I think you guys were more fast because you and Justin, or you, Jason, and Nino, and I were all on a thread. I think you guys are more fast than we were slow because once we got going, I think that first day was a little slow for my league, but then we got going. I think we're fine. I just can't believe you're done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think people are afraid to draft slow when they're drafting with the person running the thing, and so
in your league next year then.
I think everybody wants to be in my league. One, I'm beatable. Two, it's two. Yeah, I tend to be in faster leagues. I was recording with Bruce Cagle Jr. for the Friends of Fantasy Benefits podcast. We talked about my draft and his draft. He was in round 13 last night. So it could be a lot worse.
Like I said, I really think we got off to a slow start, but we've been fine since. It's not something, and I'm not Mr. Draft complainer. I don't sit around telling everyone hurry up or whatever. So it's fine. And I think our group's been good. We have a little Twitter group that we've been helping people. We even had Brent Hershey was at FPAS, or I guess it's not FPAS, it's football or football.
Yeah,
football.
It's labor.
Florida,
it's labor.
But it's labor. And so he was keeping up on everything. We were helping him if he was caught up. He just said, "Hey, just hit me up here. I'll be good." And I know Matt Thompson was going on a flight the other day. He was fine. We've been fine. I'm just surprised that you're done, but good for you. But you're also
we weren't even the first draft finished. Another draft finished yesterday morning.
Good for those drafts. That's awesome. We'll be done. We'll be done.
The problem is there's no advantage to finishing fast.
That's also
true. I know everybody wants to, but there's actually a disadvantage. For instance, I got Joe Musgrove when not seeing the news that he had broken his toe. Leody Taveras apparently has some sort of side issue that came out today. He's on my team, so my team's already beat up because we finished fast.
Yeah, Justin Turner got hit in the face today. That was awful.
I haven't seen it yet
with him.
But yeah,
I don't think you want to see it, man. I'm not good with stuff like that, and obviously, it's more important that Justin Turner comes out all right than my little weak stomach. But that stuff's tough. I see now with Leody, low grade left oblique strain. We'll actually get into that because we're going to talk post hype today. Yep. I should have went and looked who suggested it, but credit to the person on Twitter who said we should do a post hype episode, which we always do. And I figure, well, now's as good a time as any. We're done with the positional previews. So why don't we just do it now and talk about some post hype hitters? We spent, a couple weeks talking pitchers. So today we've got 13 hitters who I think kind of fit in that post hype mold. And we run the gamut here. We got a guy who's inside the top 100, and yet he still qualifies, all the way to guys being drafted pretty late that they weren't necessarily drafted high last year either, but they are no longer getting that, oh my God, he's coming up, he's the next one. They never got their Jordan Walker window, their J-Rod window. So let's just get into it. Let's start right away with the top guy. A lot of people can probably guess who it is if they just think real quick. It is indeed Wander Franco. Now, I will say, and I've mentioned this a few different times, I was hoping for a bigger discount. There is a discount relative to last year. And now that I realize what it was, I'm like, okay, it's bigger than I thought because he was going around pick 80, around pick 57 last year with an ADP. So, 55 to 60. And this year he's at 81. So you're getting a couple rounds. I kind of thought he might go outside the top 100, though. To the credit of the community, they're sticking around there with Wander Franco, and I don't blame him because I'm actually back in now. I was out last year at that price pretty adamantly. I wrote him on, my list of guys that I'm crossing off. He was not.
Yeah, we got trolled pretty hard last year when he started off the first month,
and he
super hot. Yeah,
and you know what? And I understand the whole, well, if he doesn't get hurt, this and that, it's all part of it though. My main thing though wasn't that I would never take injury as the main reason. I guess unless that was like a Tyler Glass now. It could be
No, I'm taking that victory lap because
No, I am too.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but injury wasn't my reasoning.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I didn't think he had fantasy juice. So double what he did, right? He played Wander Franco played 83 games. That's 12-16 on the homers and steals with a 277 average. We can just do the easy double because he played 83 games. I'm even giving you a little extra there. That's 92 runs. That's 66 ribbies. That's not that hot for a top 4 round pick. So I'm taking the dub on that too. I still feel good. What I was saying was injury was not what I baked in there. I just didn't think he had enough fantasy heat to go where Wander Franco was going. That said, the two round discount, another sample of major league work under his belt. I'm a bit more back in now. I still worry that some of the fantasy juice isn't there, but with the price coming down, I can get more into it. That said, I haven't targeted him. He hasn't been somebody I'm drafting a bunch, but I'm not out the way I was last year. Where do you stand on Franco now after a year off that we both took last year?
I think he's kind of perfectly ranked by the market. I mean, like I have him pretty much like right at ADP. I've drafted him already once this year. I have no problem drafting him again. I see a huge upside. You see that 94% zone contact last year. I mean, that is elite. And it backs up exactly what prospect evaluators said about him, which is he's got an elite hit tool. The question is, how much power do we see from him? He hits the ball hard, but it's a lot of his hard contact is, line drives or on the ground. So I think high average, 15-ish home runs. I think the question becomes for me, is he one of these guys who really benefits from the stolen base rules? We know he has some speed, right? Like good speed.
But does he want to take advantage?
But yeah, do the Rays let him take advantage? And does he want to take advantage, right? And so like I kind of have him, I think, for about a 15-15 season. With a good average. Like I think he could probably hit 290.
I got 287 for Franco, 14 homers, 11 steals, 92 runs too. I think the runs could be where you really cash in. Problem is his two biggest categories, and I said this last year about Franco, are dependent on quality luck, which is your batted ball. And you can create your own luck by making quality contact. I grant that. But then also your team, they need to drive him in. And so that's the tough part. And that's what I mean by his fantasy juice not really being there. It's still not up there. But at 81, pick 81, I can get on the Wander Franco train because I have him ranked within that range. So yeah, I'm in now this year with the price change.
I think he also represents one of the last guys at shortstop that you want at shortstop. I think him, Tim Anderson, if you're into Xander Bogaerts and Willie Adames, are like the last of that tier before you start getting into the guys where I don't really want them as my everyday shortstop. So, and he definitely will drop in drafts. Max pick is 116. I don't have a problem with Wander Franco. He's not a target for me, but he's definitely not someone who's off my board by any stretch of the imagination.
Yep, that's exactly where I come out with Wander Franco. So it always comes down to price. We talk about that a lot and what a difference a year makes. I don't know if you heard about this guy, so I'm going to put you on. If you've ever heard of Jared Kelenic. I'm struggling on the name. It's definitely Jared because it's R-E-D are the last three letters. So that's red.
Yeah.
And Jar Red.
Yeah.
Jar Red Key, K-E-L-E. So Kelenic or Nick. I don't know if it's a niche or a Nick at the end, but it's Jar Red Kelenic.
Well, I know that Jared Kelnick is my niche right now.
That is your niche. And I did hear, and to share a little bit of a personal news, that you got caught viewing his videos on Pornhub.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
There may or may not be a restraining order at this point for me.
The interesting part was I heard you uploaded them to Pornhub.
Yes.
And then you wanted to watch them still. You could have just watched them on your own computer. Then you don't have.
Yeah. I jokingly, when like the whole Justin Mason bathing suit thing came out and I wore it and stuff, I jokingly said I was going to start up an OnlyFans with like there just being one tier at 69 cents a month. And I kind of want to do that and then just upload videos of like players I really like.
Yeah, just going crazy or like workout photos.
Yeah. So, I mean, This is amazing. What he's doing. I mean,
He's got 4 homers. Let me
yeah.
set it up for you. You got 4 homers. The one yesterday over the batter's eye against Devin Williams was hot. Let's put the jokes aside for a moment. Obviously, you're already in, but what does this do for? I mean, honestly, if anything, this hurts you because his price is going to start going up.
That's where I was going with this.
So
this
I
is
fully
awful
grant that.
Yeah.
But how do you analyze this, right? Like, again, you're already in, so I know it's hard for you. Maybe the question's better for me, somebody who's a little bit more tepid on him. But what does this do for Kelnick's stock and how you feel about him? Are you being, buoyed by this? You're saying, you know what, I am right here. I do like this. Or is it still just 4 homers in a week and you're like, okay, this is good, but this is already a guy I like, so I'm not going to further move him up. I'm already taking him where I'm taking him.
Yeah, it's the latter. I was talking to my chat today. Someone was asking me, I can't remember what player it was, or I think they were just asking a general question about like the WBC and guys are going to have big platforms and the prices are going to go up. And then and like, how am I adjusting my game plan for that? And I'm not. Like, I honestly, while I watch baseball during spring training, I'm mostly watching it because I miss baseball.
Yeah, I just have it on. I don't even really watch games. And I mean, I read the box scores.
We did a kind of impromptu watch party on Friday. I'll probably do another impromptu watch party this Friday. So now people have a little bit of notice. So in the Discord of the page. Yeah. So just anticipate that we'll do some sort of watch party this Friday in the Discord. But I did it because I wanted to watch James Paxton. And I wanted to see him. And that's the kind of stuff that I care about, right? Like, Kodai Senga, I wanted to watch him because I didn't know what to make of him. And I still don't know what to make of him completely. But, the things I really care about in spring training are mechanical changes, either hitter or pitcher. I care about velocity for pitchers.
Definitely.
And pitch mix changes, like a guy is says he's going to throw a new pitch and is actually throwing it in spring training,
or dumps a pitch to improve his arsenal somehow. Yes. And
then any sort of massive change in strikeout or walk rate,
strikeouts, walks, and power. That's why this Kelnick thing can matter, because it's been observed that a big power surge can be indicative of positive things coming for a guy if they're well above their established power level, which of course Kelnick is right now with 4 homers in 6 games. Yeah. So, I mean, I started doing my prep in September. I'm not throwing out almost 6 months of prep because a guy goes on a Mike Moustakas or Maikel Franco type tear during spring training. Yep.
Now, does it make me feel better about the prep I've already done that a guy like Jared Kelnick is hitting the cover off the ball and he was a guy I was already targeting? Absolutely. But am I now going to jump him 3 or 4 rounds ahead of where I was taking him to make sure I'm getting him? Probably not. The thing I am doing though this year, and I did it in TGFBI and I feel really, really good about it, is that after, I find a demarcation point in every draft now. Typically it's about halfway through the draft. So in a 30-round draft, 15 rounds in, and I'm throwing ADP out the window. And I'm just going and getting the guys I want. And so I got Jared Kelnick. I got TJ Friedel. I got Leody Taveras. I missed out on Kyle Bradish, but I got Jose Suarez. Like, I am this year, because of all the work I've done with my projections and, Tanner Bell's amazing sheet, smartfantasybaseball.com. Like I'm feeling more and more confident that, screw ADP. I'll play the ADP games early to try to see if there's a guy I think that's really underrated by the market, but moving forward, I'm just going and getting my guys.
I'm with that. That's one of our mottos here about go get your guys. And obviously it's within reason, of course. You like Wander Franco, don't take him back at pick 40 to where he was going last year. Wait a bit. That's why the ADP can be a guide. And it is those early handful of rounds, really the first half of the draft, that I think it should be your guide. And then as things open up, you can start to get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds beyond ADP. Maybe not 7, but you know what I mean? Like you can start to really open up and take the guys that you want, because it only takes one other person to snipe you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's what can happen. Kelnick, by the way, last year, 137 ADP, down to 221 this year, obviously with a green arrow next to it because of these 4 homers. But I don't think he's going to get back up to 137 unless, honestly, if he hits like 12 homers, maybe. But I don't even. What is a normal spring training home run leader hit? Do we know?
I think 10,
Yeah,
10 or 11,
so,
probably.
I guess maybe 12. 8 last year for Harper. We'll go back to 2019. The like most normal season before that was really quickly. Sorry, 7. So not even with double digits. So he's already got 4. Maybe he does hit double digits. Kelnick does, and then we'll see what happens. But
I mean, if he starts going in the top 150, 30, like
I think even you're out.
Like, I can't. Like, I mean, then you're passing over guys who are established, or at least guys with like, Cody Bellinger has first round upside and he's going like, pick 160. Am I really going to take Jared Kelnick over Cody Bellinger? I'm not. Like, I will just miss out and be happy with my early shares at that point.
Yeah, because you do have shares, and that's one of the things.
And I will expect to cut off everybody else's winnings when he has a monster season, because it wasn't just me on him, but like
Jared Kelnick
I want my cut.
Still has a 29% K rate. I just want to point that out.
I mean, it's 4 strikeouts.
It's 4 homers.
Yeah. His strikeout rate and homer rate are pretty the same.
Kind of my point, though. Which one do you think is going to change more over the rest of spring?
I think he's going to hit. I think he's going to have 29% of his,
hits are going to be homers.
At plate appearances are homers.
29% of his plate appearances are going to be homers. Okay.
I think that's possible.
If he does that, if Kelnick does that, okay, I'll get off his back. If he does that for the whole spring and doesn't, go out tomorrow, so that.
What do you think? What do you think? We're going to be in Vegas in a few weeks. What do you think the Vegas odds on him being like MVP are? If I put a dollar on him,
what's the highest?
I put a dollar on him.
Will they even take that bet from you?
Yeah,
is the question.
Would he qualify as comeback player of the year?
Sure.
Maybe I'll put $20 on him to be comeback player of the year.
Like, they do it for injured guys who didn't do anything. So it's not like you have to have X number of plate appearances, I don't believe. And his 184 plate appearances last year, 181 rather, were not a huge sample, but he was really, really bad too. So I feel like he should be able to qualify for that. And I guess the one thing is with the comeback, though, that would imply a previous height that he hasn't reached for Kelnick.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't know, but I don't know what the rules are. I really, really don't. But he could be breakout player of the year.
I bet you they've got an over under on his home runs. Maybe that
they could have. I could see something. If not, maybe like DraftKings at the very least, like an online book might have it. Let's talk about our guy Brian Hayes. It's been a while since we talked about him. Back on the third base preview, we had a nice lively debate with regards to his power. We do not need to rehash that, but I figured he was worth including here because the price has come down. He's down about almost 2 rounds as well in that 40 to 50 pick range here. Pick 130 last year, 180 this year, thereabouts. So you are getting that discount. Like I said, I know we ended up disagreeing about like where his power is. I want to reiterate just that I don't think it's like extreme. I just think that he can get like to 15 homers, which would be pretty nice. So that would be doubling what he did last year, but I don't think that that's out of the question. Given where he goes, though, at pick like between 180 and 200 with Brian Hayes, he doesn't really need to be all the way up there. So you don't even have to get on board with that to possibly be interested in him. Where does your interest currently lie with Brian Hayes? Because we've been on the train together. We've now since diverged on that power potential, but where are you on Cabrizi's overall potential?
So third base is a weird position because I know a lot of people have said like, oh, third base sucks. I'm sure I said it at some point early on in draft season. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's bad like in the middle. Like it's got a soft underbelly. Second
base both have different ways of sucking.
Well, second base is atrocious. Like there's
that's the thing though. You're going to turn around and do the same thing. The second base, they're different though. Second base doesn't have star power, but then it has a glob this large of the same player. Like second baseman 6 down to second baseman 700 is the same guy. Aren't you saying similar about third base though? Outside of that star group, then it's a big glob.
No, I don't think it's a big glob. I think there are like red flags in the middle, and then I think there are really intriguing upside plays and some boring vets that make up the lower end. I mean, and I think that Ke'Bryan Hayes is weirdly getting pushed down into that kind of lower end. I mean, he's going off as the 13th third baseman off the board behind an injured Jose Miranda. Eugenio Suarez, who like is fine for what he does,
Yeah.
but like if he hits his own body weight, I'd be shocked.
I still have some concerns about his batting average. Like I grant that Suarez held up last year in Seattle because he has everywhere power, and he had a hell of a season, 31 homers, 236 average, but that's coming off of combined like 200 in his previous 800 plate appearances, 199 actually to be exact. I'm still dubious on Suarez a bit, and I don't want that batting average sinkhole.
Yeah, I mean Max Muncy like is going off as the 9th third baseman. We know that they're. I mean, I'm okay with it, but we also know there are red flags, and that Dodger lineup is not nearly as good as it was to kind of help buoy up, some of.
But he closed strong, man. I think he's back. I really don't have any lingering concerns about Muncy.
But I mean, he's going. Ke'Bryan Hayes is going like right next to Alec Bomba, who I think has probably maybe a safer floor, but I don't think has the upside.
I added him to this list since you last looked at it with Stott. Okay, we'll talk about too. So we can talk more about Bohm later. But yeah,
Hayes drops and drafts to the point where I end up with him. Like I don't have him super highly ranked, but like
a lot of people are
he ends up on a lot of my teams. Like I really like kind of the tier of third baseman between like him and Josh Young, the Hayes, Alec Bomba, Ryan McMahon, Brandon Drury, Jordan Walker, Josh Young. Like I like all of those guys, and so like if I don't get an elite option, Hayes is definitely a guy that I'm going to be targeting down the board.
Me too. Like I'm in again. And I talked about this power. Go listen to the third base episode for that. Thinking that he can get into the team's power, which I think is enough with the steals. I still think the batting average is a strong asset too, that even if he does fall short on that power projection that I have, which is 13 homers with I think the chance to get into the mid to upper teens for Ke'Bryan, there's still plenty to like there. Remember last year, the one thing, since we're backpatting a little bit here on like the Wander stuff, the speed I hit on that last year saying, yeah, the power might not be there, but I think he can run a decent bit, 20 steals for you. And look, it was a boring season. 7 homers, 20 steals, 244 average for Ke'Bryan. I did not think he was only going to hit 244. That was really the biggest miss out of his season last year, as far as I'm concerned. I still think there's a lot to like. He's 26. There's been hype for him. I think Ke'Bryan Hayes is perfect for a post-hype sleeper list or post-hype player, whatever you want. I know people have problems with the word sleeper, whatever. I don't give a shit. Let's stay at third base and move on to the next guy, Yoan Moncada. Yoan Moncada, now you here? Shouts to the boys at ITL. I know Bogman will hear that. I think he's definitely got post-hype value. He's I don't want to say off the board, but my God, has he sunk. He is the 28th third baseman off the board at pick 316. He was pick 156 last year. He's basically doubled his ADP this year, more so, 160 picks difference, and he was 156 ADP last year. Do you have any more hope for Yoan Moncada? He's had long COVID. He's had injuries. He had the strikeout issue that he then briefly fixed and now still kind of has it. And he used to take walks. And then last year it was a 7% walk rate and he doesn't run anymore. And this, that, and the other. And he's 28. And I still see a world where a fully healthy Yoan Moncada can pop off. I'm not banking on it, but I think he qualifies here as post-hype. What say you of Yoan Moncada?
The problem with Yoan Moncada is I don't know who he is anymore.
Neither does he.
And I don't want to draft guys that I have no idea who they are. He's an enigma at this point. Like he hasn't been healthy, and so you want to chalk a lot of his struggles up to being healthy or not being healthy. But like at one point we're like, hey, we're getting power and we're getting speed and we're getting that walk rate. And he's still really young. He can grow into more power. He doesn't run anymore. Doesn't run very much anymore. He hasn't hit for much power. He strikes out too much. I think at this point, until we see him do something on the field, like this is just prospect pedigree we're banking on, and I don't like betting on that. Not with this kind of major league track record.
Yeah, like I don't mind prospect pedigree, but I want a little bit more than just betting on the fact that Yoan Moncada was a hyped prospect. I agree with you there. And I just want to point that out because I'm somebody who has advocated for prospect pedigree being part of the mix.
Jared Kelnick,
that I
like
care about. Yeah.
part of my argument was like he has amazing prospect pedigree, and he's even after he struggled in the majors, he went back down to the minors and dominated the minors. And so I felt like it was just a matter of time before he figured things out at the majors. Moncada has such a long track record now in the majors. I mean, even though he's only 27, like, I mean, this is like his 7th season.
Yeah, this will be his age 28 season too. So he'll
like he's played a lot of years in the majors, and the vast majority of them, at least the last 3, have not been good by any stretch of the imagination, especially fantasy wise. And so
it would be one of those out of nowhere seasons, though. It really would, because I just don't see anything else like to believe why it could happen. The only great season he has is the rabbit ball year, 25-10 for Yoan Moncada back in 2019. Unless they're bringing back a rabbit ball, which we don't believe is the case. I don't know, man. And I tell you what, you know where I could be convinced is if I saw him start running in spring, because that is another thing when we're talking about stuff that you can glean from in spring. If stolen base up chances are up, that is a good indicator for a guy that they're going to run in season, that they're feeling a certain level of healthiness, that their manager's encouraging them to run. So if you see 5, 6, 7 attempts by Moncada, even if he's like, 2 out of 7 or something, which wouldn't be great, but even if he gets caught a few times, if he's running a decent bit, that could give me some interest in him. But until I see something like that, some sort of indicator, I'm not really getting back in even at this dirt cheap price for Moncada.
No, the only place I would even be willing to entertain it is in a shallow league, is like one of my last picks, because he's easily droppable. Like I don't want to be him in a 15-team league where I'm gonna have to rely upon him. And so like it just seems so unlikely he's ever gonna end up on any of my teams.
That's totally fair. Let's talk about another guy that we have discussed during this season, but let's crystallize our thoughts on a former guy of ours, Jesus Sanchez. I believe we had him up a good bit last year. We did talk about him in the outfield. He doesn't have a spot right now, at least not guaranteed. You're looking at Brian De La Cruz, Jazz Chisholm, Avisail Garcia. I think that left field spot could be open to where maybe Sanchez gets the front side of the platoon. He had a bad year, right? There's really no two ways around it. He was demoted. He wound up with 13 homers, 1 steal, 214 average, bad plate skills, the demotion, as I mentioned. But he's 25. And there was a lot to like with Sanchez coming up. There's some big power. He had better plate skills that helped breed better batting averages in the minors. Where do we currently stand on a 25-year-old Jesus Sanchez, both in regards to winning that left field job and just in general with him right now? Where do you stand?
I don't think he's winning that left field job. I think when they move Jazz Chisholm to the outfield, and as long as they stick with that, which it appears they're going to try to stick with it, at least for the early going, he's out of a spot. And I think he's probably
you like DLC. You like De La Cruz?
I like him well enough, and I think the Marlins like him.
Yeah. Sorry, so, I thought he was like a big guy for you. So you just I'm fine with
De La Cruz. But I think that the Marlins have said they want to give De La Cruz 500 plus plate appearances. That's a large. I mean, they're obviously going to play Soler at DH. They're obviously going to play Avisail Garcia. They paid both those guys.
Yep.
So Sanchez needs an injury or a trade in order to find playing time. Now, luckily for him, Avisail Garcia gets hurt. Jorge Soler gets hurt. Jazz Chisholm gets hurt. Like, there are going to be opportunities, but I think off the waiver wire is where he should be in terms of your team. Like, he's a watchlist guy. You're waiting for an injury to happen, and then you jump on him, because I do really like him. And if those changes he made late last year in the minors are legitimate, which I think they could be, then I think he could turn into a stud where now they've got a problem to figure out how to get all these guys in lineup when they are healthy. But until he has the opportunity, I'm not drafting him.
I totally agree on Jesus Sanchez. Not drafting him right now. Maybe drafting hold, but I'm not doing any more of those. So I don't really see my avenue for him unless he somehow found an injury. Someone got hurt and he then was anointed to a spot, because I totally agree with everything you said. Avi's playing, Soler's playing, and DLC, they like him. And DLC, Brian De La Cruz has 574 above league average plate appearances on his ledger right now. Much better than what Sanchez has done in 623 plate appearances, and much better overstates it. I apologize. 96 to 108 on the WRC plus, but better nonetheless. And thus they like Brian De La Cruz. So there is a sharp discount with Jesus Sanchez. There is some post-hype viability here, but until I see where the playing time's coming from, I'm not jumping at it. Let's move on to our next guy, Spencer Torkelson. Pick 253 last year, wasn't super expensive for a 1-1. Expectations were well in check, but he fell on his face big time. Got sent out. Nothing really worked. Came back from his demotion and looked better, but only because he couldn't really look worse. He is down about 4 rounds, about 60 picks to pick 309 right now. I'm talked about how I'm not out on Torque. I'm not quitting him. I've already drafted him in a league or two. I could see myself maybe getting another share as a corner, util, or even a bench player, really, because he has, pick 300s. Where do you stand on Spencer Torkelson here, and what kind of rebound do you see, if any?
I mean, at this point, I think this is kind of banking on the prospect pedigree. But we know he's got a ton of power in his bat. He's at times in the minor leagues shown a really good eye for the ball and ability to make contact. And I just want to believe that he's going to make it work. And I think the Tigers are going to give him every opportunity at the major league level this year. Like, I don't think we're going to see him unless he's truly atrocious. But even then, like, who cares? Like, the Tigers don't need to worry about winning games or anything right now. They're still kind of retooling. He's a fallback option in a really deep league for me. That's about it, honestly. Like, I don't know that I want to draft him in the majority of formats outside of just like a draft and hold, a 15-team league where I need a backup first baseman type thing. Like, I don't want to be forced to start him every day or every week.
I think that's totally fair with Torque, and that's why I did make sure to mention reserve there, because where I am drafting him, I don't have any reliance on Spencer Torkelson right now. I don't have to have him in the draft and holds that I got him. He's not even in. He wasn't even at what would be the corner spot or the util. I literally got him in reserves, and so I think that's where you want to be with Torque right now. I'm not ready to give up on him after that first bunk season, but it was bad. It was bad. And, I kept looking for more. Like I've said this a million times on the show. He carried himself like a major leaguer, like he understood, hey, I belong here. I get it. But the results just weren't there. And it's time to really show something with him. And I hope that we can see that come through here with Spencer Torkelson. Now, this next guy is a little interesting. We're going back to the White Sox. His price is actually up. And yet I do still think there's a little post-hype viability to Andrew Vaughn. Now, he was perfect for this list last year, right? He had a 93 WRC plus his rookie year, then 113. So he improved, but it was still only a couple more homers, a much better batting average. Like, he did pan out. I still think there's some post-hype viability here, though, because he can play like a top 100 pick. Where do you come in on Andrew Vaughn right now, coming off of an improved season, but still not what we were hoping for with Andrew Vaughn? Like I said, the price is actually up here. So he doesn't perfectly fit this, going from 261 to 134. But because many still believe he can be like a top 80, top 100 type guy, I decided to include him here just to kind of give you a platform to discuss your Andrew Vaughn thoughts.
I really like Andrew Vaughn. And the problem is, the market seems to like him a lot more than me for some reason. And like, I think it partially because he's finally not going to be like screwed around with in terms of position. Jose Abreu's gone. He's going to be the everyday first baseman. I don't think we talk about enough, like, about guys who like have these, not necessarily off the field problems, but like having to learn different positions. Like, you look at his games played last season, and he played 45 games in right field, 44 games in left field, 29 at DH, 23 at first base, 2 at second base. When did he even? I don't even remember him playing second base. I vaguely
remember that.
Like,
yeah.
But he had to move around, and this is a guy who had never played anything other than like first base and DH. I think he may have pitched in high school, but like, he had to learn a lot on the fly, and I think that may have hampered his ability to focus at the plate. Now he gets to focus at the plate. I get it. He hits the ball really, really hard. He's got a fantastic eye for the strike zone. He makes really good contact for a power hitter. This is one of those guys that has not ended up on my team very often, but I could totally see him being a breakout, and maybe I'm underrating in my projections the ceiling. But I like him a lot, and my wife works with his dad, so like that's got to give him 4 or 5 rounds of value, just in general. I should try to see if she can get him on the podcast with us at some point.
Now that would be great. I've got Vaughn for what I would call a breakout here. I do have him stepping forward yet again, another jump in the batting average up to 280 with 23 homers. And mid to upper 70s in both his runs and ribbies. I guess with the ribbies, that wouldn't really be breakthrough because he had 76 last year. So I guess I can move that up if I want to go in concert with everything else. But I really like Andrew Vaughn. I'm excited about him this year. I still have a lot of hype for him. And again, that's why I included him, because I still think this is a guy that when you're drafting him at 134, you're really hoping that there can be that big jump for him.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we could see it. We definitely need him to stop hitting so many balls on the ground.
For the love of God, please.
But I mean, would it surprise me if he hit like 280 with like 30 home runs this year? It would not. It would not surprise me at all. And I love the fact that he still retains that outfield eligibility while playing first base only this year. I should try to get him on a team at some point.
Maybe you don't have any.
I don't. Like, there's always someone in a league that I'm in or a draft that I'm in that likes him a little bit more than I do.
I'm often that guy. Well, at least in the leagues that we're in together, because I still really love Andrew.
I'm hoping we're not. Well, I guess we're about to start the head-to-head Yahoo draft.
We'll be in that one,
and he played second base, so I'm sure he's eligible there. Say Yahoo. So
I'm taking him earlier there because of that.
By the way, first-round pick now.
Justin has pointed out that I'm having some audio issues. I don't know how those are going to translate on the recording. I apologize. I don't know what's going on. There was some goofiness when we first started. We thought we got it hammered out, so I sincerely apologize. I have no clue why StreamYard is messing with my stuff or if my computer's goofing and gaffing, but I apologize. We got a handful more players here that we'll get through, but I hope it's not unlistenable. But
I think it's fine.
If it is,
but there are a couple times where you've been a little like gargly for some reason.
And if any of that is something that you need clarified, hit me up on Twitter at Sporer and I'll re-clarify my thoughts. But yeah, we're very pro Andrew Vaughn here. I'm interested even at the elevated price, which again made him an interestingly weird fit for this list. But this next guy definitely qualifies. Now, he is cheaper, but that's because he wasn't guaranteed to start last year. So Riley Greene, I do think fits here, but not in the Andrew Vaughn way. Remember, he was 295 last year because he broke his foot, and so he dropped way down. But he is only 196 because his rookie season was like fine. And I do think that if the Tigers hadn't sucked so bad, that his bad season or his rookie season wouldn't be characterized so modestly, because holding your own, a 99 OPS plus in 418 plate appearances, that's pretty good for a 21-year-old. But I think he kind of gets caught in the swampy suckiness of Detroit. And so Riley Greene is kind of being underrated. That said, I also worry about his fantasy juice. I don't see big power. He doesn't run. I'm not sure the big batting average is there. So I don't know what to make of him. Pick 196 is certainly fair in my opinion, but I'm not super big on my my Detroit Tiger guy, Andrew Vaughn. I wanted them to take Andrew Vaughn. Riley Greene, that's actually who they got in the Andrew Vaughn draft 3 picks later. But what do you think of Riley Greene? We've talked a bit about him before, but like, where is he on a post type scale? Is he somebody you think could really break through this year? Or do you see like a stair step of like better than last year, but not special?
Yeah. I think that last statement kind of completely exemplifies what I think of Riley Greene. I think he's going to be better than last year, but I don't think that means he's good or great by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. I think he could be like a 110, 112 WRC plus OPS plus type.
My problem is like, what are we expecting from him? Aren't we expecting like maybe high teens home runs and like a handful of stolen bases and like a mediocre average? Isn't that a worse version of Alex Verdugo, who's going after him? or
Or
what we expect from
I think he's like
Yoshida,
similar
who's
to Verdugo. Yeah.
yeah, like, and they're going to the same spot. Verdugo's at least gonna either be leading off or hitting second. Yoshida's at least got the like unknown upside, that and I mean, wouldn't you rather like I don't even like Ramon Laureano because I don't trust him to play games, but like, wouldn't you rather have Ramon Laureano?
Wait, you're
Or
suggesting that you need to play games to be successful?
I believe you do.
All right,
Like,
Justin's on one today, y'all. Sorry, he's bringing these crazy takes.
like, or the relative safety of Andrew Benintendi, or like,
Yeah.
the power speed combo of Riley Greene, or not Riley Greene, sorry, Seth Brown. Like, I just there's so many other guys right there that I'd rather have. I'm just never gonna end
I
up with
get it.
Riley Greene.
And that's kind of where I'm at.
I
And,
traded him in a dynasty league.
I don't blame you because
I
if it's
got
another,
Nathaniel Lowe, and I was very happy with that.
if it's another modest year with the fantasy output, then I really do think then maybe next year he's a much better fit for the post type, to be honest. But I wanted to include him because I do still hear his proponents talking him up, and I want Riley Greene to be great because I am a Tigers fan, but I don't really see it. So you can't say I overrate every Tiger. Now, Akil Badu, I'm drafting him in the 3rd round this year because that guy's
Absolutely.
beast. But Riley Greene,
because you need to, but do not, but don't.
Thank you. Exactly. Now, this next guy, you can see where the fantasy juice comes from. He's already got a homer and 2 steals in an early beginning to his spring, but he probably has 412 strikeouts. Actually, he only has 3. But what are we doing with Josh Lowe? Because talk about falling on your face. He was a Fabapalooza kind of guy going for, easy triple digits, damn near half people's budgets at times on $1,000 budget. He was pushing up in the 500s, and he did not deliver any of that kind of value. You were thinking a full season of a power speed guy, and you didn't get that. What are we doing with Josh Lowe here after the 2 homer, 3 steal, 52 game sample last year? Is he somebody you're going to go back to the well with now that he is a pick 342?
I mean, I think the question really becomes, do we think that the Rays are going to give him an opportunity to strike out at a 30% clip?
Not off rip, I don't think.
And I mean, do you want I think they have to kind of play Jose Siri because of Siri's defense. And do you want 2 guys striking out at a 35% clip at the back end of your roster?
Yep.
I just don't know that he's going to get the opportunity. Now, if we're a week in the future or a week and a half in the future, and he's striking out at a 22% clip throughout spring training, I'm going to start getting really interested.
Then I think Manuel Margot needs to look over his shoulder at Josh Lowe.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I do think there's a path even before spring to get a role. It would come at the expense of Margot, where Margot would be like his short side platoon. I agree with that, but as it stands
it could come at the cost of Siri. They move Margot to center. Siri he's a great defender, but he's probably a 4th outfielder for most teams.
He's an interesting power speed guy, but like you said, he strikes out at that same type of clip,
and he makes Josh Lowe look patient. Like,
exactly. I was just about to say though, unlike Lowe, pardon me, Siri doesn't take any walks.
Yeah.
And Lowe has. Now, he didn't in the majors last year, but in his minor league career, he did throughout. But only 8% clip last year for Lowe, but only 6% for Siri. So, no, I'm with that. I totally get it. That said, okay, so 15-team leagues like TGFBI, like your main events coming up, you drafted him Lowe as a reserve? Obviously, as spring evolves, you'll know. But if it was today, would you put him as a reserve on your main event team?
Not on mine. Like, I can see the argument for it, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. If you're a believer in Lowe, then yeah, use one of your last picks on him. And if he doesn't make the team, if he's striking out a ton in a few weeks, you just drop him in the first Fab run. Yeah. Because you shoot for that upside and you hope for the best. But there's other upside plays in the outfield that I prefer. We're going to talk, like I said, we're going to talk about Leody Taveras here in a minute. I've been all over TJ Friedel as kind of my guy. And so because I have other preferences in the outfield, I'm not going to, but I'm not going to say it's a stupid pick. The upside is immense. If he can make even just marginally below league average contact, he could be a monster.
Josh Lowe has rich upside still.
He could be Tyler O'Neill. I could totally see it. Like a guy who goes from like a 75% zone contact to, hey, if I can just get it to 80%, which is still, 4 or 5 percentage points below league average, but now the power and speed are carrying me to just monster, counting categories. So like I could definitely see the outcome. I'm not betting on it.
I think that's totally fair, and I agree with you on Josh Lowe. I'm also not betting on it. By the way, Riley Greene had a combo meal today. Does that change your mind?
It does not.
How dare you? Yeah. That's hypocritical because you did say that you moved Jared Kelenic, I still don't know his name, up 20 rounds based on his home.
No, that's not true. I actually moved Kelnick down from the first round. Because he's only had 4 home runs. I expected 9 by this.
He's not reaching your expectations. Yes. Got it. But yeah, I just noticed that Riley Greene did have a combo meal today, which for those that don't know, shouts to the 06010, the ESPN podcast. That's a homer and a steal in the same game.
He now defunct the ESPN podcast.
I know. And there have been other names for it. There's other cool names for homer and steal in a game, but combo meal is still the best one for me. I'm riding and dying with that one. At least in honor of Matthew Berry, Nathan Ravitz, Eric Carabell, and Tristan Cockcroft. People can use their other ones. Sock and a shoe, I've heard. Cool. There's some cool ones. Combo meal for me. Let's talk about the 2 Phillies. I mentioned that they would be on this list. Alec Bomba, you mentioned him in the third base discussion with regards to Moncada and Hayes, and Bryson Stott. They're both guys that have been hyped up. We hyped up Bomba on this very pod a couple of years ago, so he's kind of in his second post-hype year. He did, and this is another one, like he did improve last year, kind of like Vaughn, but maybe not to the degree that his believers still believe he can. And I would count myself among them. I still think there is more to Alec Bomba. I don't know if I'm necessarily like dying to pick him. But he jumped up to a solid 98 WRC plus, 13 homers, 280 average. Yeah, that's fine. As the more I raise my voice, the more you can tell I don't think it's that fine. Oh yeah, it's really fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But Bryson Stott was supposed to be kind of that power speed demon, and he did go 10-12, but with an 83 WRC plus in 466 plate appearances. I think he's the bigger of the two, but I wanted to include Bomba just because I figured if I didn't, people would say, well, what about Bomba? So Alec Bomba, Bryson Stott, are they post-hype buys for you that you see more from? Let's start with Bomba because, like I said, he did establish a decent level last year. Is there more to that, or is he just a league average type of guy with a decent average and modest power output?
I feel like Alec Bomba is going to be the Phillies version of Yandy Diaz, where everybody's like, if he could just raise that launch angle, if he could just raise that launch angle, if he could just raise that launch angle, and we're just going to keep
Brian Hayes too.
Yeah.
Right. Same type of thing of like just raise.
And one, I don't know that guys often want to necessarily raise their launch angle. We want them to because we want them to hit more home runs, but that often comes at a detriment to other tools that
it's
for
that
certain
easy.
players like are really important. Like it's really important for Yandy Diaz and a guy like Alec Bomba to just make a ton of contact. And it's not necessarily going to turn into a ton of power. And because he doesn't have a ton of speed, like I think that like there's nothing wrong with being a Ty France type player, right?
Exactly.
Like
there's
nothing
fantasy viable, but he's going to make millions in the majors if he's just a Ty France type Alec Bomba.
And that's what I think Alec Bomba is kind of at this point. Okay. There's obviously the opportunity for him. I think he's got a good enough hit tool, and I think he does have enough power in that bat that if he does make a change, then we could see a nice breakout. Obviously not to the level of Vlad Guerrero Jr., but this was Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s kind of knock right before he had the massive breakout was like, well, the launch angle isn't very good. And he hits the ball really hard, but a lot of it's on the ground or line drives. And then Vlad said, well, watch this. So could Bomba do that and keep the contact skills? Absolutely. And then, maybe he becomes like a 25, 30 homer guy with a decent average. But I don't know until we see something in that profile that says it's going to happen that we can bank on that. Right now, he's a high floor third baseman that isn't going to hurt you, which is fine. Like it's totally fine where he goes. But I don't see anything in the profile that tells me he's going to progress this year.
Bomba hit a homer today. How much does that change your opinion?
Well, it's the launch angle.
6. He somehow got
Yeah,
it out with
yeah,
a 6 launch
exactly.
angle. What about Stott then? Because again, more of a dynamic fantasy player with the power speed, but had little else to go with it. So had a nice little double last year, 10 homers, 12 steals, but a pretty paltry slash line at 234, 295, 358. He's 25. We saw it in the minors. Is there more coming for Bryson Stott?
I think it's just going to be a little bit better version of what we've seen, which is, maybe like a 15-15 guy. Maybe the batting average ticks up a little bit. And I think he really relies upon the volume. And so the big concern becomes, can he continue to volume his way on a Phillies team that might be looking for an upgrade midseason? Or, or if he goes through struggles, could end up sending him down. I don't mind him, especially because he's, multi-positional eligible, but like he's not a guy that I would feel really comfortable about. Like I want him as a reserve pick, not necessarily as a starter.
There, right?
I mean, in a 12-team league, he is.
Yeah, but he's 17th round pick in a 15-teamer, which for Bryson Stott, that isn't.
I mean, that's your MI.
Yeah.
Or your second baseman if you missed out on everybody else. So, like,
if you waited.
I prefer him in like a 10 or 12-team league where I can use him off the bench. If he doesn't succeed, it's really easy to get rid of him. But in a 15-team league, he just feels like one of those guys that there isn't a ton of upside there. Like, I think you can get guys later. No, I don't think I think he is like a 15-15 guy, like, which is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But like, I don't see him like turning into a 25 homer guy or a 25 stolen base guy. And
I think he can be 2020, which I guess is in the middle of what you're saying. Like, based on that's more based on like what he gave. He like fronted the league 2 months last year. Bryson Stott did, and he was really bad until June. And then from that point on, let me see what his pace was. If you do his full season pace from June 1st on, it was 16-19. So that 4 more homers is not nothing. So I don't want to say like 2020 is right there, because it's not. 4 more homers is a pretty big deal. So I guess let's 15-20 are the thresholds because we do everything in 5s and 0s in this world. So he's like pretty close to being a 15-20 type guy from June 1st on. I think he can do that. That is some upside from pick 257, because not a whole lot of guys are doing 15-20 with a 257, 318, 401 line. And that's what Stott did from June 1st on. So I think there's some upside there. And I think at 257, I actually wouldn't be averse to taking him as my MI or util there. And then I get another MI viable guy on my bench. That way, if Stott gets cold again and has another bad start, I immediately flip to that other guy. So I'm pretty in on him. I think I'm going to tick above you on the Stotto-meter.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, not a huge argument, not a board bet or anything like that there. Just I got a little bit more love for him than you do. In fact, let me see, look more money where my mouth is and tell you where my projection is. Well, and my money is not where my mouth is. 14 and 11 is all I put him for. That said, it does rank him as the 21st second baseman, which I think is better than where he's going. So I kind of put my money where I don't know. Is it? Maybe I'm full of shit. You tell me.
I'm looking. Stott is currently going as the 20th second baseman. So right there.
Oh, okay. 24th in this month's OCs, which is what I was looking at.
I was looking at DCs for this month, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, well, I'm close, but I'm not like super in. Let's stay at second base then and talk about Nolan Gorman, who is an afterthought now. With everything going on in St. Louis, I understand why. I'm not even saying that, but I know you've been a big fan of his. You were big on him last year. He is perfect for this post-hype category. Again, his price is down because he didn't break camp. So using the ADP comparison doesn't tell the story there, but he's only picked 360 because he came up, he hit for some power, but now there's no room at the end for him after an 89-game sample with 14 homers and a 107 WRC plus. What are you doing with Nolan Gorman? And do you believe in him as a post-hype guy that you would put on your team in a 15-team league right now?
Not for this year. I love Nolan Gorman, and I do think he's going to turn out to be a really good player, but I don't think it's going to be in a Cardinals uniform. I think he needs to be traded to another organization. The entire infield is jam-packed with talent. You know, he came up as a third baseman. He's definitely not, I mean, he's not. If Jordan Walker is not supplanting Nolan Arenado, then Nolan Gorman definitely ain't. Yeah.
If your Cardinals prospect 3B, sorry, I thought you were done there. If your Cardinals prospect 3B, get a new glove. Get a new glove. Sorry, go ahead.
He can't supplant Edman at short because Gorman is just an awful defender at every position, much less shortstop. Brendan Donovan is actually turning into a guy that I've been trying to draft kind of everywhere. You know, he's added some more power in the offseason. You know, kind of changed his swing path, put on some muscle. He's already hit, I think, 2 home runs.
Okay. I didn't know
so that. Yeah, so like he's triple eligible, you know, eligible second, third, and outfield.
Outfield too, yeah.
So I don't know where Gorman plays. Like
I don't either.
I don't think he makes this team. I think he, you know, because Paul DeJong is out of options. So if they don't let DeJong become the utility infielder, then they've got to DFA him. So like I think Gorman, who's got 3 options, is going to get sent down. I think there's a very good chance he gets traded at some point. You know,
because he's got to play every day, right? You don't want to waste him. You don't want to have Nolan Gorman at 22.
Trade him Miami.
Bench guy.
Trevor Rogers for Nolan Gorman. Let's do it now.
That seems like a good fit. But you know, they want their dynamic Keystone combo. I can't even get it out with a straight face. They want their dynamic Luis Arraez, Joey Wendell. There you go. Then you could really root for
Alex Cobb. I'll give you Alex Cobb for Nolan Gorman.
Now you're getting silly. Trevor Rogers for Nolan Gorman has some juice to it.
Sean Manaea.
Kyle Harrison.
I'm done. Oh, you can have, done.
Okay,
I'll take Nolan Gorman there.
That could probably get it done. Do you think that St. Louis would be moved by the fact that Nolan Gorman won an MVP in my current OOTP save?
You know, maybe they haven't heard that because I mean, obviously you should tweet at them.
Yeah, because he led the league in homers with 59 in 2030.
Mm-hmm.
Or should I just tell them of the future that's coming? Don't trade him because in 2030, Gorman's going to hit 59 bombs.
Absolutely.
And he hit 46 the year before that. It was his 4th 40 homer season, 2 of which were for my Montreal Expos. I know people really care about this, so I'm going to give you all the great details. Let's move on. We have a couple more guys. You've mentioned this guy. We've been a long-time fan of this guy, and yet he's still only 14 years old, believe it or not. Leody Taveras legitimately is 23, which is crazy, by the way, because we really have been hyping this dude for a whole ass minute. Age 24 season, excuse me, but still very, very young. I thought we saw some things last year that have encouraged me. 5 homers, 11 steals in a 99-game sample, 93 WRC plus. He's one of those guys, Leody is, that if he can be in like the 90 to 100 WRC plus range, he can play every day, even with a below average. I think he has enough defense and enough juice with the power and speed that he would still be able to play every day, even if he's toting that 93 WRC plus. And he could certainly do so in fantasy. Also hit 261. I know you love him, so explain why you're such a Leody Taveras buyer this year and what you think he's really going to do in a breakout season that you are thinking he can have this year.
So obvious caveat is that he's got a low grade oblique issue that may kind of have him start the year on the IL or whatever. But he has the same kind of path that teammate Adolis Garcia had. He is a fantastic defender.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, he's got a better approach. Like he doesn't have as much.
I have a better approach than Adolis Garcia.
He doesn't have nearly as much power, but he's got a ton of speed. And he made league average zone contact in his major league stint last year. I think he's got enough pop where he's not the kind of guy where pitchers would just be like, well, we're just going to put it in the zone and make you hit it because you're not going to get it over second baseman. Like he's got doubles and power, and he will hit for some home runs. Like I think he could hit 10, 12 home runs. But I also think he could steal like 40 bases.
That's where I really think Leody could go crazy.
Yeah. And so, if he's a guy who can hit 260 with, barely double-digit home runs and 40 stolen bases, that's a massive steal. Like he's one of the guys that, pun not intended, actually. Okay. like he's one of these guys like late in the draft that I'm really targeting, like that I'm going, okay, yeah. I mean, I paired him and TJ Friedel in back-to-back picks in my TGFBI draft and felt really, really good about the outcome. Hopefully Leody Taveras is healthy by the time opening day comes, but it sounds like it's not necessarily a major issue, but
low grade.
Yeah, low grade. So yeah, I'm all in on Leody Taveras. Like I love him.
I don't need to reiterate all of that. I'm in. I think it can be just a steals stud with some decent pop too, because you guys know I don't like just the pure rabbits that are going to give you sub 5 homers, even with the good steals. He hit 7 last year at AAA, 5 in the majors, so give him 12 in 562 plate appearances. That's pretty nice for Leody. I think there's some juice there. I just really like Leody Taveras. And our final guy is another guy that you've definitely been a fan of before. I think you're still very much into him this year. So I will give you the floor on Mr. CJ Abrams, who again doesn't quite fit the ADP measure of post hype because he wasn't really being drafted last year, but he's also not being overdrafted this year. Pick 241 seems pretty fair for somebody with a guaranteed job and his skills. Where do you currently stand on CJ Abrams, and what kind of season do you see in his first full year as a national?
So, I mean, this is just the classic, guy is a top tier prospect, struggles in his first go around, and people start just washing him away. Like
they forget his name. They don't know who he is,
They pretend like he's a bum now because at age 21, he struggled in his first major league call up. He's going to play every day in Washington. We know he has a really good hit tool. We know he has a ton of speed, and we know he's not popless. He's definitely not like a power bat by any stretch of the imagination, but like he can do exactly what Leody Taveras can do at the shortstop position. And while shortstop is really deep at the top, it has massive cliffs. And I like CJ Abrams as one of those kind of bailout guys if you miss out on a lot of the top tier shortstops that go in the top 150 picks. So yeah, I mean, I think he's going to steal 25 plus bases this year. And I'm totally fine. If you're looking for late speed, like that's the dude.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I really don't disagree on CJ Abrams, especially with the playing every day and the classic forgotten guy after he flops in his first go, especially at age 21, man. When a guy comes up and he flops at age 25 and you're kind of like, well, you're already busting at 25. That's tough. 21, man should have been in like AA for God's sakes. In fact, he originally skipped AAA to get to the majors and then did some AAA work after that this past year. So I like CJ Abrams. I'm intrigued by him. I can definitely see myself jumping on board there as an MI, same type of deal where I would probably get an MI to back him up just in case things don't quite work out. But if he went like 9 to 12 homers with 25 plus steals this year, I wouldn't even be a little bit surprised.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Wouldn't even be a little bit surprised. Okay, so there's a post-hype guys there. An interesting run of guys. Wander Franco, Jared Kelnick, Brian Hayes, Yoan Moncada, Jesus Sanchez, Spencer Torkelson, Andrew Vaughn, Riley Greene, Josh Lowe, Alec Bomba, Bryson Stott on the Phillies, Nolan Gorman, Leody Taveras, and CJ Abrams. Who's your very favorite of the bunch? Is it Abrams or Taveras that you're going to get the most of? Kelnick. No, Kelnick's your number one.
It's probably Kelnick. Yeah, it's probably Kelnick. But I mean, I'm going to get a lot of Abrams and a lot of Taveras as well.
And who are you least likely to draft given their prices?
I'm probably not drafting Gorman at all. I'm probably not drafting Riley Greene at all. I'm probably not drafting Josh Lowe or definitely not drafting Moncada. Like Moncada is probably the one on this list that isn't even on my draft list. Like at least the other guys, they're a part of the equation. Like I could see a world in which, hey, they drop in a draft. But Yoan Moncada there is no world in which I'm drafting him this year, which means he's going to have a monster season. Yeah. Like he's going to like the power is going to come through finally and the speed's going to return. He's going to go 30-30, like in just like the double digit walk rate again. If
you believe in the Justin Mason fade, then you do need to get on Moncada right now.
Absolutely.
He's not going to have him anywhere.
There you go. There's your bet for comeback player of the year is Yoan Moncada. Just go put $10 on him. I'm sure you're getting 100-1 odds. Like,
at least. Yeah. I root for him. I really do. But I'm with you that I can see maybe one draft, and it helps that we're multi-league drafters, so we can kind of get a portfolio, quote unquote. I know some people don't like terminology like that, but we can get guys to take different shots. But if you're in one or two leagues, I don't take many chances on some of these guys because I really don't see much hope for Moncada.
Yeah, me neither.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap us up. Tomorrow, I will release the AL version of the Eric Longenhagen Megapod that we did. A lot of good feedback on the National League one. If you like the National League one, you're going to love the AL one because it's an hour longer. So you get 3 hours of goodness. Eric's so unbelievably generous with his time. He's the man. And you and I will be back on Friday. And I don't know what we're going to talk about yet. So we will figure something out. If you have a suggestion, hit us on Twitter.
Definitely hit us up. It was Brian H, I believe was his name.
Brian H.
On Twitter. And you and I started the Sleeper in the Bus Dynasty draft today. So
I'll be starting another draft soon.
I'm on deck. So hopefully.
Who'd you get in the first round?
Oh no, this is the first round. I'm either gonna get Trey Turner or Jose Ramirez at 8.
What league did you get Tucker in that you were saying earlier?
That was Raz Slam.
Pardon me. Okay, yeah. I thought that was that league. So
I'm really just stalling right now because I think if we finish in about 45 seconds, then the podcast will be 69 minutes long.
Oh, okay.
So and then we're drafting tomorrow. We're going to start the slow draft for the head-to-head categories leagues on. So join the Patreon, join the Discord. We're still trying to talk about putting together a vampire league. There was some interest after the last episode. So we're in that. And I think I'm going to be the vampire. Mostly because I think it'll be more fun with me. I think that's fair that one of us be the vampire. And since it's your idea and you're running all this, you get to be the vampire. I think that's fair. You're doing a great job with everything, by the way. I want to just give you public credit here, getting everyone into the Discord and the Patreon with all these leagues and running them. You're so good at running stuff like this. I envy your ability to organize. I don't have that same gene, but I'm glad that you do, so that at least one of us does. So thank you so much. This is awesome. I can't wait to do the head-to-head league with folks and hopefully steamroll. I hope to crush everyone. I'm looking forward to crushing everyone. That should be 69 minutes. Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right. When I had the intro outro. Yeah. Bye. Take it easy.